Here we go. This is block 3. This is Persepolis Socratic Seminar, group 3. And our moderator has not been chosen, so I'm going to choose one right now. And I choose Alex. Yes, awesome. So Alex, will you please start us off?
Okay, instruction. According to instruction, what stereotypical image is Socratic trying to dispel? I said that she's trying to dispel that Iran should be imagined as a bad country for their terrorism. And,
I agree with you because like a lot of people think that the Middle East is kind of like they're known for like terrorism, even though not all people living in the Middle East are terrorists.
All I want to say is basically that besides Western countries, I don't really see other countries with really good reputations.
I mean, we see America as something good because we don't do any terrorist acts like Middle East does, and I think Socratic accent is trying to dispel those images of terrorism, everybody's a terrorist in their country.
Well, not all Muslims are terrorists, and not all terrorists are Muslim. And I think that's what she's trying to get rid of, because it's not fair to judge a whole country of people based off of the actions of a few.
Yeah, only the few leaders did bad things, just a couple of people, not every single person. Her family didn't do anything bad.
I feel like I agree with all of that, really, how to elaborate and put them all together in a way, I feel like she's trying to, get rid of the image that everyone over there is a savage, a terrorist, or someone, or even in this book, someone to... I'm not gonna lie, my first image when I think of the Middle East is sandstone buildings and other things. It's not what it really is. They have infrastructure like us. They have internet in places. They're like us. They're not savages and other things. And I feel like she's trying to dispel that image and show that they're much more similar to us than we are led to believe in some cases.
They're people too. There's really nothing different except where we live.
Okay, introduction. Question 2. The author indicates 2 motives for writing Persepolis, and what are they?
I said that she believes that an entire nation shouldn't be judged by the wrongdoings of extremists, and she doesn't want the Iranians to die in prison for defending freedom, and the Iranians defending freedom who died in war against Iraq, who suffered under various repressive regimes, or who were forced to leave their families and leave their homelands to be forgotten.
I agree with Angela about how they shouldn't be judged just because one person did something. This connects to the first question, how everyone was saying how just because some people were considered terrorists and stuff, other people were also considered it just because their group was basically. So the author's motive for writing Persepolis was to let people know that just because a few extremists have done wrong things, it doesn't mean the entire nation is at fault.
I sort of took the question a little bit more literally and went through the very first part of the book. And in one of the first parts of the book, it says, it was somewhere. I forgot where, but it says that she wrote it for her parents, and I said also to dispel the stereotypes of surrounding around in the Middle East.
The veil Question 1. How was education affected by the new regime and why?
The girls and the boys were separated, and the girls had to wear their heels. And I think they did this because, like, with this new regime, they thought that women had to kind of be oppressed and changed from an early age.
I agree with Sydney because most kids didn't understand why they had to wear the veil because it was still new to them, and that's why they split two different schools, boys and girls.
I agree with Alex because, like, in that one part of the story, like the kids, they were like the girls were confused why they had to wear the veil, and they didn't know like why they had to wear it. Like, yeah.
Didn't they also say something about how bilingual schools were shut down?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think that was the third question. It asked like what did bilingual schools represent to the new regime. They said it represented capitalism and descendants, and I can see why they have to do that because when you're in a government trying to get control, these bilingual schools were not really under your control. So, yeah.
What?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like I agree with Roy. Like it's just giving the government more like control over people because they're taking away like more choices that they have. Like they don't really get to choose like what they wear or like the religion they're following or like what language they're getting to learn.
I agree. It's easy to control people. Just cut them off from everything and tell them lies, and then they'll just follow you.
Yeah, Mariji's like teacher said, like later on in the story, like the teacher said something different about like how they were learning after the Shah was taken down. But she said like this is what the teacher said, but like the teacher told her like she was wrong and she didn't tell her that, and she got in trouble because of that.
I personally think it's interesting how like the Shah wanted to like repress the capitalistic way of the economy, even though capitalism is like one of the best things. Like a free market is like one of the best things that can happen to a nation. Like one example of this is like when China went through capitalism back like in the last 100 years or so, their like economy just boomed, and they've been doing really well up to like the current day.
So, number 2. What did the veil symbolize?
I said the veil was symbolized as modest, and it's a cultural thing that they have to wear, but some women say that disagree that they shouldn't wear the veil because it's their right and freedom that it's their choice if they want to wear it or not. But some women think that they should wear it because of some reason.
I agree with Linda, but what I said was that the veil symbolized oppression towards women because at that time, during the demonstrations, the women the people on the right who was fighting against the veil were fighting for their freedom.
I agree with Vicky because it's like it symbolized oppression because like after the new Shah took over, it was kind of like forcing people to do something that they didn't have a choice in. So it was like showing his dominance over the country.
I think the veil represents freedom because some women choose to wear it while others didn't.
For me, the veil symbolizes like as a chain of oppression because many women were required to wear the veil, like such as like Mary Jane during like when she entered school. They were made to wear it, but like some chose not to. But I also agree with Katrina what she said about like freedom, how some choose not to wear it and some does.
I sort of like, I had nothing, when I read this book, I had nothing against people wanting to wear the veil, but I thought it was sort of wrong that people were being forced to wear it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with like expressing your religious beliefs if you're willingly choosing to wear the veil, but I don't think you should force those beliefs and other things on other people. It's their choice.
2-minute warning.
moving on to chapter 2, the bicycle.
How does Margie's relationship with God begin to change?
What I said was that because of the events that were happening around her, she started to compare God to Marx. Not only that, she started to distance herself from God. Like, she doesn't tell him the things that she usually talks to him about. And when she finally went to find God, to visit him and tell him about what's been happening, he was already gone.
I think that she was seeing everything that was going on around her, and she began to like blame God for everything that's happening. She was wondering like, why isn't he helping? So she began to blame him for everything else, and she distanced herself from him.
I agree with Sid because Margie completely rejected God. She pushed him away for all the things that he like did, basically. Or that's what she thinks.
Anyone else have something to add?
Yeah.
Personally, like the way I see it is, like as she grown up, she turned away from God because she was like, she no longer needed his advice, or she didn't want to hear what he had to say on things. And I found that to be interesting.
What do you think, Katrina?
I just said that God didn't come to see her and talk to her and try to comfort her.
I said her relationship with God had changed because she became more mature and started getting into hero and warrior stuff. So,
All right, so you guys have met your